Welcome, my friends. Tonight I'll be reading opening night for my summer fairy tales from the Disney Princess Storybook Collection. This is the last story of this book. That's it. No more stories from this book after this one. This is the final story. Let's get started. It was opening night at the Royal Theatre, and Princess Cinderella was excited to see the show. As the curtain went up, the star stepped onto the stage. Cinderella smiled. She knew the performer. It was Corinne, a singer she had met long before becoming a princess. Years before, Cinderella's stepmother, Lady Tremaine, had hosted a gathering at her chateau where girls could learn how to play an instrument and take singing lessons. Lessons sounded boring to Lady Tremaine's two daughters, Drizella and Anastasia. But Cinderella thought it was a wonderful idea. "I'd love to come," she said. Lady Tremaine narrowed her eyes. "Why, Cinderella, do you really have that much free time?" "Well, I just meant you have far too many chores to do," Cinderella's stepmother continued. The next day lessons began. Cinderella slipped away from her chores to begin. One girl standing off to the side caught her attention. She had the sweetest voice Cinderella had ever heard. Her name was Corinne. Anastasia and Drizella were immediately jealous of Corinne's talent. "You're not special," hissed Drizella. "Your voice is so quiet, no one can even hear you." "Which is a good thing, since you sound like a goose," mocked Anastasia. Later that evening, Lady Tremaine said, "Anastasia, you must do something about your flute playing. Work harder, dear." "It's not my fault," replied Anastasia. "I always play the right notes, but my flute plays something else. I think it's broken." "I see," said Lady Tremaine. "I'll have Cinderella pick up a new one for you." But at the music shop the next morning, the shopkeeper couldn't find anything wrong with Anastasia's flute. "Even so, Anastasia wants a new one," Cinderella explained. The man handed Cinderella a new flute and asked what she planned to do with the old one. "I don't think anyone will mind if I keep it," she answered. Cinderella had hoped to learn how to play the flute. She wanted to make music for her animal friends. On her way home, Cinderella saw Corinne. "You sing beautifully," Cinderella said. "Do you really think so?" asked Corinne. Anastasia said, "I sounded like a goose." "Oh, that's not true," Cinderella explained. "Your voice is as sweet as a songbird's. I have an idea." It was time for Corinne to see for herself how good she was. First, Cinderella had Corinne sing for the shopkeeper at the music store. Corinne, feeling a little shy, sang softly for him. "Charming," said the shopkeeper. The two friends then went to the bakery. This time, Corinne sang more confidently. The baker clapped, sending up clouds of flour dust. At the perfumery, Corinne's voice was strong and full of energy. "Superb," cooed the patron. "You're so very talented." Corinne was delighted. At the next lesson, Lady Tremaine announced that Madame Laveau, a famous opera singer, would be coming the next day. She'd be selecting one student to study with her. It was the chance of a lifetime. "I'll be right by your side for the audition," Cinderella told Corinne. "Just be yourself. Remember, your voice is as sweet as a songbird's." "Thank you," said Corinne. I really do think I have a chance." That night, as Cinderella was practicing the flute, her stepsisters and Lady Tremaine barged into her room. "That's my flute," shouted Anastasia. "Give it back." "You have no talent," Drizella scoffed. Lady Tremaine was furious. You can't be trusted, Cinderella. You are forbidden from being anywhere near the salon tomorrow. I want you to be outdoors gathering firewood. But I've already collected enough for winter, said Cinderella. Then you will gather enough for 2 winters. When Corinne arrived at the saloon next day, she missed Cinderella. You can't sing, sneered Drizella, and Anastasia cackled. When it was Corinne's turn to audition for Madame Laveau, she opened her mouth to sing, but nothing came out. In the meantime, Cinderella's friends had been working with her since dawn to collect firewood. As soon as they finished, Cinderella ran inside, hoping to be in time for the audition. She arrived just as Drizella and Anastasia were warbling their way through an off-key duet. It was dreadful. Madame Laveau headed for her carriage. She hadn't found anyone who could be her student. Corinne told Cinderella what had happened. It's not too late, Cinderella said. If you believe in yourself, you can do anything. Corinne gave Cinderella a hug. I think I'm ready to sing now. Cinderella called out to the opera singer, Madame Laveau, if you please, Corinne would like to sing for you, she said. Corinne stood right in front of Madame Laveau and sang in a voice that was as sweet as a songbird's. I have found a most talented student, Madame Laveau announced. I predict Corinne will be a great star one day. Everyone applauded except Drizella and Anastasia. That night, Gus and Jock brought Cinderella a surprise. The flute, she gasped. Oh, thank you. Cinderella promised she'd practice as much as possible so she could play a song for all her friends. Testing. Back at the theater, Princess Cinderella hugged Corinne after the show. Your voice is as sweet as ever, she said. You had the whole audience under your spell. Thank you, said Corinne. I couldn't have done it without you, Princess. Suddenly, a young performer ran up to Corinne. I did it, she said. I sang out loud. I heard you, said Corinne. Your voice was as sweet as a songbird's. Princess Cinderella couldn't help smiling. And that's it for tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed this story, and I will see you tomorrow for the next one. Bisous!